Coming up on Valley View News, LA County provides affordable feminine hygiene products. Plus, Premier Credit Union partners up with CSUN. And 3 mass shootings during Easter weekend. Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Vanessa Garcia.
And I'm Ruby Cordova in the Digital Media Center.
California said it's delaying its COVID-19 vaccine mandates for school children. Last year, the state was the first to require all school-age kids to get vaccinated. The California Department of Public Health says it'll wait on the FDA to fully approve vaccines for 7th through 12th grade students. Valley View News spoke to CSUN students about vaccine mandates.
If they want to go to school safely and feel safe about it, I think they should do it for them.
I think that if you're going to look out for people who are coming up after you, especially for the next generation, you have to look out for them by helping them so that they don't have to face anything that's an actual threat.
I'm all for the vaccine for children.
The Department of Health says any new vaccine requirements wouldn't happen before July next year.
Pfizer wants to expand its COVID-19 booster shot to healthy elementary-aged kids. The company says its data suggests 5 to 11-year-olds could use another kid-side vaccine dose. It would be 1/3 of the dose given to those over the age of 12. The data came from a study of 140 kids. They all got 2 shots and 6 months later, a booster. Pfizer is the only U.S. company with vaccines available for children. It's still seeking FDA approval for its child booster.
In Pittsburgh, 2 17-year-olds were killed during a party last weekend. At least 8 people were injured. Police are searching for multiple suspects. Chief Scott Schubert says he's heartbroken.
How can you even have a holiday when your child was involved in something traumatic like this?
The 2 dead teens were identified as Jaden Brown and Matthew Steffi Ross. Officials said most of the hundreds of people at the party were underage. A motive for the shooting is still being determined. Meanwhile, in a South Carolina nightclub, at least 9 people were injured by gunfire. It was the 2nd mass shooting in South Carolina and the 3rd mass shooting in the nation during Easter weekend.
The Brooklyn subway mass shooting suspect is in jail without bail. 62-year-old Frank James appeared in a Brooklyn federal court for a brief hearing. Charges include a federal terrorism offense and violent attacks against mass transit systems. James faces a possible sentence of life in prison. A day after the attack, James called a police tip line, turning himself in. He fired 33 times. 10 people were shot and 13 people suffered injuries. The victims range in ages 16 to 60 years. All are expected to survive.
In Long Beach, a candlelight vigil was held for a 15-year-old who was shot and killed after an arranged online cell phone purchase. Police say Joshua Simmons was killed after an altercation with the suspect at a basketball court. The suspect was identified as 24-year-old Jose Bustamante Cardenas. Cardenas was arrested on suspicion of a murder and has a $2 million bail. Simmons' family says they're heartbroken about his death.
Los Angeles is taking the initiative to provide feminine hygiene products in certain public places. Valley View News reporter Natalie Sierra tells us more.
LA County started a pilot program providing affordable feminine hygiene products. The plan was announced right before CSUN's Cramps Week. Sarah Azam of CSUN's Women United Club participated in Cramps Week, an event that embraces menstruation.
Period products are extremely expensive and not everyone has access to them. They're a necessity too.
Recent studies show women spend more than $13 a month on period products. The pilot program also wants the county to support federal and state plans that reduce the cost of feminine products and diapers. Cielo Munoz is a senator for CSUN's Associated Students.
I think it's crucial. We provide toilet paper. These are necessities that people need, right? And it's not that you can elect to opt out of your period, right? It's something that happens and we need to be realistic and we need to provide for people.
County Supervisors Sheila Kuehl and Hilda Solis started the program saying there's a lack of access to affordable feminine hygiene products. Melanie Mejia organized Cramps Week. She thinks the program will help relieve period poverty.
There is so much testimony from homeless people that they cannot find period products to use. We need those in public restrooms.
Diapers and other personal care products are also part of the initiative. The products can be picked up at libraries, parks, and museums.
LA County plans to extend the one-year pilot program if proven to be successful. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Natalie Sierra.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law banning abortions after 15 weeks. DeSantis says the law defends the defenseless.
This will represent the most significant protections for life that have been enacted in this state in a generation.
Republican legislators nationwide are passing tough new abortion laws. They're hoping the U.S. Supreme Court will uphold a Mississippi law that bans abortions after 15 weeks. The court's decision will weaken or completely overturn Roe v. Wade. Florida's current law bans abortions after 24 weeks. The new 15-week law starts July 1st.
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti gave his farewell speech this week. Meanwhile, his next role is unclear. President Joe Biden nominated Garcetti to be the ambassador to India. That needs Senate approval. The Senate vote is delayed over an investigation into sexual harassment allegations against a former Garcetti top advisor. Until he gets Senate approval, Garcetti remains at City Hall until his term is over at the year's end. As he approaches the end of his term, the city is struggling with homelessness, rising crime, and increasing housing prices.
A man was arrested who allegedly pushed a woman in front of a moving train in Riverside. Kevin Urel Lewis is being held without bail on suspicion of murder and domestic violence. Police say Lewis and the victim were dating. They were arguing next to the railroad tracks when things got physical. The woman's name hasn't been released. Officers found Lewis nearby after the incident.
A stuck container ship was finally freed after being stuck for over a month at the Chesapeake Bay. The Ever Forward ship is longer than 3 football fields. The ship needed 2 barges and 5 tugboats to finally dislodge it after 2 prior unsuccessful attempts. Once refloated, water tanks weighed down the ship to ensure its safe passage under the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. The Taiwan-based cargo ship got stuck while it traveled from Baltimore to Norfolk, Virginia on March 13.
Democratic donor Ed Buck was sentenced to 30 years in prison after being convicted of 9 felonies. Last year, a federal jury found Buck guilty on 4 counts of distribution of methamphetamine, 2 counts of distribution of the drug resulting in deaths, 2 counts of enticement to travel in interstate commerce for prostitution, and 1 count of maintaining a drug-involved premises. The 2 deaths were men who died in Buck's West Hollywood apartment after being injected with methamphetamine. Prosecutors say the victims were sought out on social media and that Bucks used a recruiter to find and proposition men.
An alleged January 6 rioter took the stand in his trial. 38-year-old Dustin Thompson told a Washington, D.C. jury he believed he was following President Donald Trump's orders by going into the U.S. Capitol on January 6. Thompson said other than acting on what he thought were orders from Trump to go into the Capitol, he didn't know what he was thinking. He claims he was acting at the request of then-President Donald Trump, who told the crowd to fight like hell. Thompson faces 6 charges for participating in the U.S. Capitol insurrection. His trial is the first time a riot defendant tried to convince the jury that it was Trump's fault.
Trans and non-binary students at Cal State Northridge are calling for a more inclusive campus. I went to a campus town hall meeting to learn more. The LGBTQI+ community at Cal State Northridge held a trans student town hall at the Pride Center. The Pride Center's Whitney Workman says it wants to gather data and provide solutions the university can use to improve campus and academic life for trans and non-binary students.
The LGBTQ Advisory Committee will be taking the data from the town hall as well as the survey to make recommendations to administration on how to support trans students.
Students can go online to rate their campus experiences. Jay Hatomi says a big problem is many students can't get access to services like campus housing without using legal names and gender on documents.
Many trans folks have names and genders that do not match on those legal documents. Not only is that really unsafe, asking folks to show that they're trans to strangers who don't know how they'll react, it's also extremely upsetting and dysphoria-inducing.
Students can use the campus website to update personal information, like their preferred names. However, Bowie Carr says legal names still appear on class rosters.
Professors will still have access to a student's unpreferred name, which we in the community call our dead name. This is a name that we've left behind.
Other trans students at CSUN are also calling for a trans accountability representative that identifies or has experience in the community to oversee and implement department policies here on campus. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Vanessa Garcia.
More to come on Valley View News, how Latino street vendors deal with being targeted often, and CSUN's Matadome gets a new name. Stay with us.
First, we're going to Dominique Silva in Studio B for some international news.
A Coon Rapids, Minnesota couple was murdered while visiting a family in Mexico. Leticia Carrillo and Miguel Abrego were visiting Puerto Escondido when tragedy struck. Reports say they were shot while driving their vehicle. They leave behind 2 children. There are no details about a motive for the killing. Police haven't released any leads about possible suspects as they continue to investigate. A pocket of Ukrainian fighters holed up in a Mariupol steel plant refused to surrender to surrounding Russian troops. They're part of the last group of resistors in the city. The Russians gave them the ultimatum to surrender or die. However, the fighters ignored it. Ukrainian President Zelensky says the situation is now very difficult in Mariupol.
It's clear that things won't get better. With each passing day, it's growing more unstable. Unfortunately, it is difficult for different reasons. I will not talk about the cruelty with which the Russian authorities have treated Mariupol, the Russian military.
If Mariupol falls to Russian soldiers, it would be Moscow's biggest victory so far. Then Russia would have a secure land corridor to the Crimean Peninsula, which was seized from Ukraine in 2014. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un observed a test firing of a new weapon. The deployment of a new tactical guided weapon is expected to boost the country's nuclear capacity. South Korea and the U.S. officials say the report comes after North Korea showed signs of resuming nuclear testing. South Korea's military says they detected 2 projectiles launched from North Korea's east coast. The Korean Central News Agency says the new weapon significantly enhances the efficiency of any nuclear weapons the North might have. The President and First Lady Jill Biden hosted the annual Easter egg roll at the White House South Lawn. The guests were mostly children, and President Biden spoke to them from the Truman balcony.
Jill and I are excited to have you at the White House. We weren't able to host this Easter egg roll last year because of the pandemic, but this year we're finally getting together again, and it's so special.
Jill Biden said this year's event was meant to honor the determined spirit of education. They're calling it the 2022 Easter Eggucation Roll. The White House said about 30,000 guests attended this year's Easter egg roll. That's all for me in Studio B. Back to you, Ruby.
Violence against Latino street vendors is a common problem that continues to grow. Street Vendors Unidos is a market created to provide a safe space for vendors to sell their goods. Our reporter Catherine Hernandez has more.
In recent years, videos of Latino street food vendors being robbed and beaten up have circulated the internet. As a result, Wendy Guardado was inspired to start Street Vendors Unidos, a market in Los Angeles where vendors can sell their goods and feel safe.
Somewhere where they can go and get help. And so that's really what inspires me all the time, being able to provide anything for them. And I know like the events for them, it's a big deal.
One food vendor, Mari Laura Lopez, owner of Elote y Raspados La Poblana, was attacked in June. She's grateful to be at today's event and happy to be back to work.
It marked my life because I love what I do and going to sell, but unfortunately the assault did affect me.
Romario Garcia, owner of ENC Fruit Stand in North Hollywood, works long days to make ends meet. He's hurt by the attitudes by some of the public, but says he tries to make each day a new one. They try to make you feel bad for the simple fact that you're working on the streets and that they're in a better place than you are, but it shouldn't be that way. Wendy Guardado is determined to continue the fight for equality towards street vendors with the help of City Council member Kevin De Leon, and hopes to make this a reoccurring event. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Catherine Hernandez.
Soon, businesses that advertise jobs in New York City must give a pay scale for each job posting. The city's new pay disclosure rule mandates companies operating in the city put salaries on job advertisements. Some employers say they're struggling to figure out how the new regulations actually work, and they're hoping for a reprieve. The law addresses gender pay disparities and increases pay transparency. Employers must disclose the expected salary range they'll pay for each advertised job, promotion, or transfer opportunity.
A New Mexico trucking company is trying to catch up on deliveries after delays were set in motion by Texas Governor Abbott. Royal Jones, president and CEO of Mesilla Valley Transportation, says the delays cost the company a lot of money. He also says that they're behind 2 to 3 days on deliveries. Governor Abbott told the Department of Public Safety to start additional inspections on all cargo trucks coming from Mexico.
On Easter Sunday, Pope Francis pled for peace in Ukraine. After the Easter Mass of St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis voiced concern about armed conflicts and the risk of nuclear war. Francis also urged the world not to get used to war and wished for peace.
May there be peace for war-torn Ukraine, so sorely tried by the violence and the destruction of the cruel and senseless war into which it was dragged.
He spoke about the hope found within the families who are opening their doors and welcoming people fleeing Ukraine. He also called for peace in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Libya, and prayed for war victims in Yemen.
On Easter Sunday, the U.S. has successfully launched a satellite into orbit on a Falcon 9 rocket after 2 delays. Originally, the launch was scheduled for Friday morning. However, they allowed teams to review the data and check out the pre-launched. The NROL-85 mission took off from Vandenberg Space 4th Base northwest of Santa Barbara. For the first time, the mission operated with previously used rocket boosters employed for the launch.
The FDA granted emergency authorization approving the first COVID-19 breath test. The test detects chemical compounds found in the coronavirus. The Inspect IR COVID-19 breathalyzer provides results in under 3 minutes. It's about the size of a carry-on luggage. The FDA says any positive results should still be confirmed with a PCR test. The breathalyzer can be used in medical offices and mobile testing centers. Right now, there's no word on how much the machine will cost or when it'll be available.
CSUN cut a $660,000 deal with Premier America Credit Union to put its name on what is now called the Matador. Brenna White went out to see what else comes with the deal.
In March, California State University Northridge announced the Matador would have a new name, the Premier America Credit Union Arena. CSUN Beach volleyball player Abby Sweeting was shocked about the new name.
It's been the Matador for years, but I'm excited for this new era as the Premier America Credit Union, so I'm excited to see the changes. And it's still going to be the same Matador, but just with a different name.
So far, the new name was placed on both ends of the court, and the credit union will sponsor games. CSUN Director of Media Relations Carmen Ramos Chandler says the 10-year deal also offers benefits alongside the new name.
That money will go to support athletics and other programs at the university. As we all know, athletics does need support, but it's not just athletics. They're going to do financial literacy classes here at the university.
This change is similar to other places such as Staples Center, which is now known as Crypto.com Arena, and the Forum, which is now known as the Kia Forum.
It's really ironic on the timing of all of this. It's really funny. But yeah, I mean, the Staples Center will still be the same. It's just because it's a new name doesn't mean it's going to change in any way. Just a new era moving forward.
Although the Matador sign is still up for now, CSUN says that students should most likely expect the change to happen over summer. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Brenna White.
When we come back, Harry Styles sets a new Guinness record for most streamed song in 24 hours. Also, Cristiano Ronaldo tweeted that his newborn son died. Stay with us.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen.
opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading a campus tour, and another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
When you're running your own business and taking care of your disabled brother, you tend to learn about responsibility pretty quickly.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I thought I had it under control. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
The Dodgers are on a 6-game win streak after beating the Cincinnati Reds. This was the Dodgers' second consecutive series sweep just after acquiring Freddie Freeman from the Atlanta Braves. By the 4th inning, the Dodgers had a 7-run lead, helping them to secure their 9-1 win. Almost all the players were on the hitting streak, as Justin Turner said, hitting is contagious. Among the players that had a good game were Justin Turner, Trey Turner, Will Smith, Max Muncy, and newcomer Freddie Freeman.
Soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo's newborn son died Monday. He announced the sad news on Twitter and Instagram. In October, the Portuguese star said that he and his partner Georgina Rodriguez were expecting twins. In December, they revealed they were expecting a boy and a girl. They wrote on social media that they're still joyful about their daughter's birth. In spite of the sad news, they thanked their doctors and nurses for their expert care.
BTS fans are anxiously waiting for the release of the group's upcoming album. BTS announced the coming of their new album Sunday during their last show at the Allegiant Stadium. The album's release date is set for June 10th, almost exactly 1 year since the release of their previous album back on June 16th, 2021.
CSUN is one of the nation's most diverse universities. One of the benefits of attending the school is being able to take cross-cultural classes like learning how to be part of a mariachi ensemble. Valley View News' Noe Ortega explains.
Mariachi music is an important part of Mexican culture. CSUN's Mariachi El Matador is an ensemble of students who sign up for a course to form a mariachi. Director Carlos Samaniego says the class is open to anyone.
You don't have to be a music major to enroll in this class. You can be a major of any other career choice. You will have to learn how to play an instrument of mariachi and sing as well.
Some students who signed up for the course have played mariachi instruments for years. Ismael Lorso Jr., a jazz major, believes the course is beneficial for students of Mexican descent.
For Mexican and Hispanic culture, mariachi is a very proud thing in our culture, but when it comes to American culture, it's just seen as maybe like a novelty. You don't really see something as serious.
Some of the songs they rehearsed included Las Mañanitas, El Rey, and A Mi Manera. All are songs originally performed by famous Mexican musicians and singers. Guillermo Reyes Quimole says he enjoys representing his culture through music.
If it wasn't for mariachi and listening to singers like Pedro Infante or Jorge Negrete or Vicente Fernandez, I wouldn't be singing myself.
The ensemble had its final practice of the semester and will be performing for the first time as a group at CSUN's Mariachi El Matador's event. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Noe Ortega.
Record producer Arthur Roop died Friday at his home in Santa Barbara. His death was announced by his daughter Beverly Roop Schwartz. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame credits Roop with making R&B a mainstream genre of music. They also say rock and roll wouldn't exist without Roop. He owned a record label called Specialty Records, which featured many artists including Roy Milton, Percy Mayfield, and Sam Cooke.
Broadway theaters are extending their mask mandates until at least through May. This follows the cancellation of many shows after members of certain casts and productions tested positive for COVID-19. Director of the revival Macbeth, Sam Gold, took on the role of a Scottish Thane after the original actor for the role tested positive for COVID. The highly contagious Omicron BA.2 variant accounts for 92% of COVID cases in New York State.
Harry Styles' latest hit single, As It Was, broke a Guinness World Record. The famous 28-year-old broke the record for most streamed tracks on Spotify in 24 hours for a male artist. The well-known British singer-songwriter Adele holds the same record for female artists with the song Easy on Me. As It Was received more than 16 million streams in its first 24 hours on Spotify. Spotify said the song is the platform's most streamed song in a single day this year.
The world's oldest annual marathon took place this month. It's been on hold since 2019. Taking place on Patriots' Day, this was the 126th annual Boston Marathon. The marathon was originally supposed to resume in 2021. However, the pandemic delayed it again. There were roughly 28,000 runners between the ages of 18 and 89 participating in the race. Kenyans took 5 out of the 6 winning titles in both the men's and women's division.
Latinx has become a popular word in recent years with the intention of being all genders inclusive. However, not everyone is on board with the term. Our reporter Diane Zermeño talked to some community members to learn about the different perspectives.
The term Latinx has been adopted as a new non-binary identifier for some of the Latino community. Now many newsrooms and even the White House officials use the term. CSUN student Itzel Garcia Cuamea says the drive for inclusivity is welcome, but Latinx, doesn't always work in Spanish.
When you talk about a group of people, you say they're Latinos, and it's already, people understand that you're talking about a general group of people. It could be women and men or whoever.
The word originated sometime in the mid-2000s in US-based activist circles. While it can be difficult to incorporate into the Spanish language, there are other options. For instance, Latinx could include non-binary people. That term can be used throughout Latin America.
And that I haven't seen that much in the US, the use of the E at the end. But in Argentina, for example, that's the main one in terms of inclusive language.
Some Latinos say the word Latinx has been imposed on them by non-Latinos. They think it harms more than helps.
There's actual problems within the Hispanic communities, and just changing the name, saying like, oh, we're just being more inclusive with the diversity. It's just kind of like, okay, that doesn't, putting a name on a thing doesn't really like help the community.
A Pew Research Center analysis found that online searches for the term Latinx have increased since 2016, yet fall far behind Latino and Hispanic. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Diane Cermeño.
Dodger Stadium is celebrating its 60th anniversary with an assortment of new food items and many new upgrades. Fans see many more items on the menu this year. There'll be pulled pork sandwiches, a barbecue platter, funnel fries, and much more. However, not all items will be available on every level of the stadium. The stadium is also planning to add a bronze sculpture of legendary pitcher Sandy Koufax to accompany the Jackie Robinson statue. The sculpture will be unveiled June 18th.
That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Ruby Cordova.
And I'm Vanessa Garcia. For stories any time of day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.edu. Thanks for watching.